I've lost exactly 28 pounds by the time I'm filming this video. It took about 6 months to see the result after I started applying what I'm about to share in this video. And since then, there's been no yo-yo effect. I've been able to maintain nearly the same weight for the past year and a half. But one thing I want to be honest about is, it was actually quite a bumpy ride until I finally identified the obstacle. I have been trying to lose weight for about 7 years after having my second son, and nothing seemed to work. At the time, I thought I had tried everything, but I would always end up going back to where I started. Then finally, in the year of 2024, it worked. I was able to see real progress, sustainable progress without the yo-yo. And not only that, I became more energetic and felt healthier overall. So you might be wondering, what changed? What did I do differently this time compared to before? In hindsight, there were things, the obstacles inside of me that held me back from doing what's necessary. It could be my false understandings about weight loss or fear and hesitation to actually take action. I call these weight loss myths. So today, I want to share these myths that hold so many people back from making real progress, and how I overcame them and became free from these false beliefs. My hope is that after watching this video, you experience freedom from those myths and see real, lasting change in your journey as well. First, the all or nothing myth. I think we all easily fall into the trap of all or nothing. Before, I used to think, I don't have time or energy to go to the gym, so I can't exercise. This simple thought put me into all or nothing trap. We often think we need to go to a fully equipped gym or it won't work. We think we have to run 10 laps without rest or it won't work. We think we have to sweat for hours or it won't work. But at some point, I realized that what was truly holding me back from seeing results wasn't the lack of those conditions. It was the very thought that it wouldn't work without them. Some of the comments I received from my weight loss journey video said, "You were able to do it because you don't have a full-time job. You have time to do all those things." Now, it's true that my work hours of running my business and creating content are flexible, and I'm grateful for that. But it wasn't always like this. And actually, running a small online business and creating content surprisingly takes a lot of time. Sometimes more than when I had a full-time job. But the real question is, do we actually not have time? Or is it about how we prioritize the time we already have? Looking back, there was a moment when I realized this, and I made the decision to run for just 5 minutes every morning in my neighborhood. Yes, just 5 minutes, not hours. This time, I intentionally focused on building a consistent routine rather than the desire to lose weight quickly. I started using the small pockets of time I had instead of waiting for the perfect moment to begin. From that day on, I ran every single day for years, and I'm still doing it now, even in the rain or snow. If you're waiting for the perfect moment, when you have all the time and the right conditions, that moment might never come. What you really need is just 5 minutes to get the ball rolling. Maybe time you'd normally spend scrolling on your phone. Or you could do squats for 30 minutes while watching Netflix. So pay attention to those small breadcrumb minutes that slip by unnoticed. When you start using them intentionally, you'll be surprised at how powerful they can become. Second, the strength training myth. Someone once asked me, if I do strength training, will I become bulky? Because I don't want to look like that. That question really resonated with me because I had the exact same thought before I started strength training. Another thing that held me back from picking up dumbbells was that they looked incredibly boring. Now I know for a fact that these are the things you don't have to worry about at all. As I've learned more about strength training and muscle building, I've realized that becoming bulky doesn't happen easily, especially for women. It would require hours of intense, heavy lifting and a very high-calorie, high-protein intake. As a beginner, there's no way you'll suddenly become bulky because you're not lifting heavy yet. In fact, when you first start strength training, your body actually starts to look more lean and toned. Not bulky. But if that's still a concern for you, try using lighter weights with more sets rather than lifting too heavy. And now, strength training is actually way more fun than I expected. I started with these dumbbells, just 5 pounds. and slowly build from there. Seeing my progress, the weight I lift increasing, and the number of sets going up feels incredibly rewarding. And my hands are usually cold in the winter, but I love the warm feelings in my muscles as I complete each movement. And plus, even at the same body weight, strength training helped create a more toned body. When I was only running, I lost weight but still felt weak and just thinner. But that changed. I started to look more toned and feel healthier once I began lifting weights and doing squats. I started seeing strength training as a kind of a savings account for my future self. Because muscle naturally decreases as we age, even a little strength training now can make a big difference later. Especially if you're in your 30s or 40s, it's really the best time to start. If you're curious about how I do my strength training, feel free to check out this video. Third, the no joy in eating myth. One of the biggest misunderstandings about weight loss is thinking that simply eating less of what you already eat will help you lose weight. But in the long term, weight loss is determined more by what you eat than how much you eat. Let's be honest. When people decide to lose weight, what do they usually do? They try to eat less. Sometimes they even starve themselves. Because that's exactly what I did before. Chances are, you've probably tried this too, at least once. But you already know it doesn't work in the long run because it's not emotionally sustainable. Because it's not just physically hard, it's emotionally exhausting. It's like trying to hold down a spring with both your hands. You can try it for a while, but sooner or later, it's going to snap back. If you want real results, real progress, you need an intentional meal plan. If you want it to last, eating less alone isn't the answer. Instead, think about how you can replace what you usually eat with healthier, still delicious options. Even if they're not your favorites yet, you can grow into them. Some of you might be thinking, but I can't live without ice cream, or I can't only eat broccoli and carrots forever. But trust me, there's a whole world of flavors out there waiting to be explored. As you open your mind, you'll discover healthier options that you may end up enjoying even more. As one example, I've shared a video introducing 3 Korean-style healthy options you can try and see if you grow to like them. I'll link it below. Fourth, the weight tracking myth. Let me ask you something. How often do you step on the scale? Looking back on my journey, I've realized that weighing yourself can be helpful for weight loss, but it can also discourage you to the point of giving up altogether. I've noticed there are 2 kinds of people. Are you the type who weighs yourself every day? Or do you prefer not to weigh yourself unless it's necessary? Some people say you should weigh yourself daily to lose weight successfully, while others say you shouldn't do that for better results. So I would like to walk you through both perspectives and help you choose what works best for you, so you can use the scale in a way that leads to better results. If you're afraid to weigh yourself and avoid it for too long, it can become more difficult to get back on track. Avoiding it is not the solution. On the other hand, if you weigh yourself too often, becoming fixated on it, even several times a day, you might lose sight of the bigger picture in the long term and be swayed by small daily fluctuations. In both cases, the result is often the same. You're not making progress or seeing results. I think many of us had that moment. Stepping on the scale after months or even years and feeling shocked, thinking, is this real? Is this really happening? And you may have also experienced the frustration of stepping on the scale too often, wondering, why did it go up? I didn't even eat anything. Then it can feel like progress isn't happening quickly and you might start to feel like giving up. So here's a better approach. You could weigh yourself every other day or even daily, but keep in mind there will be small fluctuations. Focus more on your weekly or monthly progress, the bigger trend, not the small day-to-day changes. Also, try to focus more on how your body shape is changing visually rather than just the numbers on the scale. Because especially if you're doing strength training, as you lose fat and gain muscle, the number on the scale may stay the same, but your body will become more toned and lean. Change only happens when we take the necessary action, but that doesn't mean change begins with action. Some people may argue that working through these myths is not a practical solution and that it's not very helpful. However, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, looking back on my weight loss journey, the biggest turning point was overcoming these myths, removing the mental barriers that held me back for years. When your perspective or belief system changes, it leads to a shift in your thoughts. And when your thoughts change, your actions follow. And that's exactly what leads to the progress you want to achieve, the result that you aspire. I hope this video helped you to break free from some of the myths you've been holding on to, and that you'll finally start to see real, lasting progress in your journey as well. Please share in the comments which myth you have struggled with. I would love to hear from you. That's all for today, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!